You're watching News 360, and there are some more interesting issues coming up tonight, and we will be crossing over to our broadcast journalist, Selom Amenya, who is at the Institute of Local Government Studies, Medina, Accra, to pick the thoughts of a local government expert and lawyer, Dr. Odru Osai, on the concerns raised by the leader of the transition team of the incoming administration, Yao Osafo-Maafo.
And the leader of the team, the incoming team, made some reservations. And according to him, what he was saying, that is Yao Osafo-Maafo, is that they have heard from the grapevine that government is now recruiting people into the security service, as well as the sale of some government property and asset. And they also heard that some people who are on part-time now are being given full employment. And tonight, on News 360 on TV3, we have here Dr. Eric Odru Osai, who is a political economist and a governance expert, to help us have a better understanding of how government is supposed to conduct itself during this period. Good evening.
Good evening, my brother.
Thank you very much for having time to join us on News 360.
My pleasure.
Well, now we want to see, we are in the transitional period. During this time, must government business come to a standstill?
Okay. During this time, government business must not come to an end. The government machinery is a continuous process, and it's expected to run up until 31st December, because the budget that was approved for the government this year ends on the 31st December. We would all also be aware that budgets in appropriation was given to government for the first quarter of next year. So government also has plans and budget to run the country for the first 7 days of next year. So government machinery will not grind to a halt because of the transition. Government machinery would have to run, except that government machinery would have to run on the basis of the budget approved for government for this year. And for the first 7 days of next year should be based on the budget in appropriation given to them by Parliament for the first 3 months.
All right, thank you very much. But let's see, during this period, what is it that government can or cannot do?
Within this period, once the transitional process has been set in place or in motion, government is cautioned or is not expected to enter into long-term contracts. Government is also not expected to enter into any other transaction that falls outside the budget that was approved for them this year. Government is also not expected to undertake acts that would sort to regularize things that under normal circumstances they would not have done in this year. And under normal circumstances, once handing over notes have been prepared, government is not expected to engage in any activities that would fall outside the handing over notes. You know, in activities like this or in matters like this, openness, transparency, and then good faith is very important. So government is not expected to do anything that will send a signal to the incoming government that they have not been transparent or they have not acted in good faith. The things we are hearing, I hope it is not true. If they are true, then it is not good. So I expect government not to continue with any contract. It may so happen that government initiated the process of sealing a contract. It has gotten to the point where they need to seal. I would advise government not to continue to seal the contract. They should leave it as such. They should allow the incoming government to review the process and, if possible, seal it. Because if they seal it now, they are committing the incoming government to manage the implementation of the contract, which is not the best by way of governance.
All right, let's see. The Administrator General is supposed to play a pivotal role in this process. He's already raised concerns about funding here and there. How can we as a nation ensure that that office runs effectively, and what is his role in this whole process?
The Administrator General and his office has an important role to play in the transitional process. It has a role of ensuring that handing over notes are prepared 30 days into the elections. And then after that, these handing over notes will form the basis of which that the discussions between the transitional committee members will be held. In the absence of handing over notes, it will be difficult. Now, if the Administrator General has a central role to play like this, and the Administrator General is not well resourced, it will be extremely difficult for the transitioning process to go on smoothly. So I would think that the Office of the Administrator General should be budgeted for. They should be well resourced. They should be treated like any other public institution and given adequate logistics to enable them to perform their role. Because I heard the Chief of Staff reading out ministries whose handing over notes are ready. Ideally, if the Office of Administrator General had been well capacitated, they would have received all these handing over notes from the president, consolidated them, and make them available to the transitional team, and even be at the center of ensuring that the two teams can meet effectively. One other lacuna in our law is also that they excluded the Administrator General as a member of the transitional team. That is a big gap in our law. And I would think that going forward, if we can review or amend the law to make the Administrator General not only an integral part of the transitional process, but also a coordinator, so that he will be in the middle to receive the handing over note from the outgoing government, hand it over to the incoming government, and then ensure that at least they are able to iron out issues that needs clarity on the floor. If we do that, it will help us. But we have to be fair to Ghana and the system that this is the first time we are fully operationalizing the Presidential Transition Act. So as we go forward, I'm very positive that we'll be able to learn some lessons on the learning curve.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Eric Odrosai, for your time.
My pleasure.
Well, I have been speaking to Dr. Eric Odrosai, who is a political economics and a governance expert. I am Selom Amenya for TV3 News. Over to you, studios.